Okay, so I'm a little behind on this. This was for Shabbat. So this was Gevurah of Gevurah for Sfirat to Omer, the count of the Omer. So the courage to say no. Strive and work hard to be brave. That is the essence of Gevurah. It conveys the idea that one must both go on some endeavor and demonstrate courage in order to attain true bravery. In pursuing our goals with effort, we can achieve remarkable things, including conquering that war within ourselves. When Moshe Rabbeinu died, Yehoshua was responsible for leading the nation into Eretz Yisrael. God gave Yehoshua orders and directions to follow and kept repeating two words to encourage him, Chazak ve'ematz. The phrase Chazak ve'ematz, meaning having the strength and courage to reach a goal. It is a reminder always to stay focused and brave no matter what obstacles may come your way. So Gevurah of Gevurah is a reminder about when and how to use our strength. Everyone has a certain amount of strength that God has given them, and it should only be used for good. We must use our strengths to subdue evil and win battles we face, rather than misusing it and bringing a blemish on the power God gave us. The idea is to have courage and focus on bettering ourselves so we can overcome any challenge. We must use Gevurah, the strength God has given us, to win against evil. So this can mean overcoming outside forces or our own inner demons. We all have evil within us, opinions, thoughts, and behaviors that we must use courage to conquer. By exerting our strength in this way, we are able to create a better version of ourselves and take control of the evil within us. So Gevurah can be explained in many different ways. Today we'll focus on the idea of strength and power. Most people aren't even aware of their power, but it is a force within them. During the week of Chesed, or loving kindness, last week, we learned that everyone has a unique talent that should be used to serve God and others better. So beyond our talents lies a strength most people are unaware of. God wants us to use this powerful strength in the right way. So how do we utilize it? How do we make sure it doesn't lead us astray? These are important questions worth exploring. So first, you must ask yourself if you are aware of your own strengths. And let's say you are aware of your strengths. Do you know how to use them? And a person can have a sharp tongue and use it to put people down, insult them, slander others. But with the same mouth and sharpness, they can also build people's self-esteem and say holy words. Understanding how to use Gevurah, strength, courage, and power, is important when it comes to dealing with evil within or without or within. So it's possible to feel overwhelmed by one's strength, and it can be difficult to use it correctly. So as people often say, I don't feel like being strong right now. I don't feel like applying my power of Gevurah. I'd rather just leave it alone right now. That's why the concept of tokef, or validity or appropriateness, is so crucial. Finding a balance between being too forceful and doing nothing at all. With practice and understanding of how to use Gevurah properly, we can navigate life's struggles with greater confidence. So sometimes we have to use Gevurah within ourselves. If there's a box of cookies in front of you and there are 20 cookies there and you have already had two, when we apply the Gevurah in ourselves, it's to say, 2 is enough. I don't have to have 20 cookies. This is another way of using our Gevurah. However, sometimes we don't feel like being a gibor, a hero, a strong person, saying, you know what? Let me just finish this whole box of cookies right now. Why? Because I'm not in a good mood. I didn't have a good day. I'm weak right now. So this person insulted me. And in many cases, why? Because I'm not in a good... Okay, so I didn't have a good day. I'm weak right now. This person insulted me. In many cases, we don't want to use the power within ourselves to subdue the evil in us. We need to know when to apply this Gevurah in ourselves. So Gevurah of Gevurah is the courage to apply this power in ourselves. So we have to have the courage for everything we do. The Mishnah says, who's a gibor? Who is a brave or strong individual? One that is able to conquer their desires. But for that, you need courage. So you are sometimes afraid to deal with the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, and how it can cut us to pieces whenever it wants to. So we need to know when Gevurah of Gevurah comes in, how to use it, and apply the courage within us to fight the evil coming from both inside and outside. When dealing with Gevurah, you must always be aware of the consequences of using too much. You can easily overwhelm someone or something with excessive force, leading to devastating results. The only time when you should use Gevurah is when faced with a situation involving evil. It's important to recognize and respond appropriately in these instances, as uncontrolled use of Gevurah can lead to disastrous outcomes. Be aware of yourself and the external threats around you is the key to successfully handling evil situations and learning how to use Gevurah to protect yourself and those around you. It's easy to overlook the evil that exists within us, but recognizing it is essential. So we often act in ways driven by our inner darkness and have evil thoughts and speech without even being aware. To cope with this, We need to learn how to differentiate between right and wrong and strengthen ourselves against making the wrong choices. It's important to remain conscious of our inner evil to make sure we stand up against it and choose what is right. The way it works is that God always puts a challenge in front of us to see how we are applying our Gevurah. Nothing happens in our lives by chance. There's an order. So when God wants to see how we are using our Gevurah, he throws a challenge at us. The harder the challenge, the more Gevurah we have within us to overcome it. If we are currently facing a hard challenge, it means that God has given us enough strength and power to use it. We may think we are weak, but the reality is that the greater the power opposing us, the more God has given us to counterbalance it. So when do we use Gevurah? It is when we have to fight evil. When God puts a challenge in front of us and says, now I'm giving you the right amount of Gevurah. You need to overcome this. Now fight and overpower it. Much of the time, this means knowing when to say no. So sometimes this means saying no to ourselves, but still it takes courage for that. How often do we get rid of something negative in our lives and we think, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next time. This is not a good time for me. I'm not in a strong place right now. Now I'm dealing with too many things. These are all potential excuses, but to deal with any type of situation requires courage, which is Gevurah of Gevurah. So the example from our history is that God told Yehoshua, Chazak the Amatz, don't worry, I know it will take a lot of courage. After all, what does it take to lead a nation into Israel and go to the war? Right away, they had to go into the land and start conquering it. Any leader needs some kind of push, and God said, don't worry, I'm giving you strength. I'm giving you courage, don't worry. When God puts a challenge in front of us, most people tend to step away. I don't want to deal with this right now. They put up some kind of barrier because they don't feel like facing the challenge. That's where Gevurah of Gevurah comes in. It not only helps refine the midah, but also strengthens it. So we have the courage to stand up against all types of evil in our lives. Practically speaking, we've probably all had a situation in life where we faced a confrontation or we're in some challenging situation. We're in some challenging situation. We acted a certain way, but afterward, when we thought back on it for 3 days, we started questioning our actions. Why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that? I should have said this. I should have said that. It's because we're human and we make mistakes. We can all relate to this. Take a situation, analyze when you had to use Gevurah, the courage, to say the right thing. It's hard to do that in the moment, but it's useful to look back and psychoanalyze what happened when you are using too much Gevurah, too little. So too much Gevurah is not good either. If nothing has happened recently, think back a month or two and reflect on past situations. We all have experiences where our behavior could be questioned. Analyze how much strength and judgment were used in those situations. Gevurah means how strong you are in the dealing with the situation. Sometimes a situation can happen. You might lose your temper. You might start yelling and cursing, and when all things calm down, you're left thinking, wow, what was that all about? Now the other person is angry and hurt, and you must start fixing the damage. This is too much Gevurah, too much strength used in a situation. Sometimes the opposite happens, and you didn't put enough. You should have been firmer, said no, and set some boundaries. Try to bring a situation in your life and analyze how much Gevurah you are applying. The power from the midah of Gevurah can give you the courage to deal with a situation, a challenge. Not everyone has the warrior attitude that allows them to go into battle, but it's not always about fighting another person. A fight can also be within, between you and your Yetzer Hara, your evil inclination. We all have enough power to fight challenges. We just need to use the right amount of Gevurah in order to win those battles. And of course, Borei Olam, the creator of the universe, doesn't give you what you cannot handle.